Hey, what's going on, guys? So today we are actually going to install the flywheel and the clutch kit and get that all mated up because I did just throw the engine and transmission in there, just to mock everything up, get the motor mounts made and the transmission mount. So now that we've got all that situated, let's get this clutch in there. Just as a recap, we already swapped out this master cylinder. We got it from Injuku Racing, and it was actually for an S13. It came with this ISR braided line, had to adapt it to this throwout bearing, so go check out that video. And some other stuff you're gonna need. A clutch tool definitely helps. Some black RTV, some blue Loctite, some brake clean, obviously the hardware, something to knock in this pilot bearing, and obviously the rest of the clutch. So here we go. Okay, we're gonna clean out this area for the pilot bearing. Now we're gonna take this pilot bearing and start gently tapping it in place. Make sure it's going in there straight. And then we're gonna use this socket that just goes on the outside rim and finish tapping it in. So now we're gonna take some black RTV and just put it on the ends of these bolts. And I'm also gonna take and put 1 drop of blue Loctite on the very ends of the threads, just for good measure. And we're not gonna tighten those, we're just gonna get them just snug. Okay, and then we're going to torque these down to 15, 36, and then 74 foot-pounds. And we're going to do it in a crisscross pattern. Now we're going to crank this up to 36 foot-pounds. Now we're going to finish all these off at 74 foot-pounds. Oh, which this one might be difficult. Alright, we're going to use some brake clean to get the oil off. The flywheel, they put that on there just so it doesn't rust when they ship it. And we're going to do the same thing with the back of the pressure plate. Alright, so now we're going to take the clutch alignment tool, stick it through the clutch plate, and go ahead and stick it into the pilot bearing, just like that. Now we're going to take the pressure plate and throw this on. So we should line up the dowels right there. Ooh, this is heavy. This clutch kit did not come with hardware, so just make sure you definitely have all the hardware you need. And we're going to hand thread these guys in here, and we're just going to put a little bit of blue Loctite on each one of these bolts. It also came with this washer, so we'll install the washer. Now we're going to torque all these down to 7 foot-pounds, 18, then 30, then 52. Okay, now we're going to change this to 18 foot-pounds and just repeat the process. 30 foot-pounds, now 52. Okay, now if we did this right, this should just pop right out. Yep. Alright, so now that we got the pressure plate all mounted up, we took the caliper and pushed it against that pilot bearing in there and got the measurement from that to the outside of these teeth. So basically you're looking for the measurement from this flange to the outside of these teeth. So we got that measurement, and then we bolted in this throwout bearing. I had to actually put it against the wall and compress this, and then took that measurement from, while it's compressed, from this face to the outside flange. And now we have to do a little bit of math to see what kind of shim we're going to need. The measurement that we got from the flange of the engine to the teeth of the pressure plate was 2.6 inches. The distance between the collapsed throwout bearing and the flange of the transmission was 3.72 inches. So we're going to take 3.72 inches, subtract 2.6 inches, which leaves us a space of 1.12 inches. So now we need to shim this gap within the tolerance of 0.125 inches and 0.2 inches. So we're going to do that by using this 1-inch hydraulic bearing spacer we got from Ram Clutches, and it came with the hardware that we need to shim all this accordingly. Now we're going to take this wheel bearing grease and do the lightest coating ever on this spline shaft where the clutch plate is going to move back and forth, because you don't want that squeaking. But you do not want to over grease this. It's not a wheel bearing. We're just putting a very, very light, thin coat all around in the grooves where that clutch disc is going to ride, so we don't get any noise out of it. Alright guys, so we got all the bell housing bolts torqued down to 35 foot-pounds, and just kind of give you an overview of this engine. It came out of a 2002 Yukon, so it's a 5.3, it's an L59 LS engine, and then the transmission is actually out of a Chevy S10, I believe a 4.3 liter around the same year. I thought it was an NV1500, but it actually might be an NV3500, so I'm really not sure. The thing to look for is the bell housing. You want that to match the LS bolt pattern. So it's got that kind of V on top with that top bolt kind of on the point. The only other thing we might have to do to make all this work is that is actually the bleeder valve, that guy. So we might have to notch this transmission housing just a little bit so we can get to it, but you can see that spacer that we installed and how all this is situated in there, so that all that looks good. So we'll go ahead and get this thing shoved back in the Datsun, and that's going to do it for today's video. So hopefully that helped you out with your clutch install, and we will see you all next time. Peace.